Hey gang, welcome back. It is I, DrBossKey, and today I thought I would ask a question about one of the systems that we're putting into the game. And why don't we hop over to it and I'll explain it. I also want to give a tiny bit of feedback to Dimitri, my artist. Thank you so much. So let's see here. So we're talking about monster trophies in the game. I'll explain those in a second, but first let me just do the art feedback because the question is going to be a little longer. All right, so Dimitri, we have basically, if you see here, we have essentially what I'm calling the monster trophy hints. And these are meant to be pretty much this level of transparency, maybe even a little bit more. But basically what I want you to do, if you would, let's do 8 frames of animation where we pulse transparency. We go very light, like 10%, maybe on the 20% on the opacity layer for each of the layers, and then go all the way up to about this level of transparency, which is, I think, 60%. And we can do it in stages. So let's do pulsing transparency. I can also sort of adjust on the sprite sheet itself, the transparency there. I really want to create just a little bit of extra eye catching. So it's not quite as static, but I don't want to turn the thing into a full rotating image. So, okay. So with that out of the way. So here's the thing, right? Is in the game, we have essentially what's called the monster trophy system, right? And a monster trophy system is basically, well, let me show you. So you have the hints that show up. And in this case, if you kill all of the lesser demons before time expires, then a monster trophy appears. You can see it's there. And then when you kill the monster trophy, so these monsters appear, the turrets on the edges of the screen, and they shoot all of these cool like homing missiles at you, and then everything goes crazy, and then so when we're not being crazy evil, that's what monster trophies are. And basically the way you earn monster trophies, or you get them to appear, is by doing enough screen clears. So you screen clear and destroy all of the enemy waves. Sometimes it has to do with a little bit of timing based. Sometimes it's not leaving enemies behind. Sometimes it's score based on how well you're doing. Sometimes it's based on how many monster trophies you've gotten up to that point. Okay. Every level has generally around 9 monster trophies. There are some exceptions where a few levels like this one only have 4. Not a problem. And then the other thing you should know is that at the end of each level, we have essentially an end of level ranking system. And one of the things that we rank you on is whether or not you found all the monster trophies. It's just binary, so we don't count the amount. I could, I suppose, if I wanted to, but it's, we got to ship this game at this point. We're shipping this game really soon, so this is one of those last pieces of polish. We're getting there by doing this. The other thing is that if you find all the monster trophies, a lot of times the last monster trophy actually spawns like a mini boss. Sometimes we mix it up a little bit, but generally the game gets harder the more you find them. Okay, so now let me just flip back over here while I'm explaining. So with that in mind, right? So if you're a player and you come to level the first time, you see the hint and you're like, oh, there's a monster trophy. I don't expect people to necessarily understand it at first, but I figure they'll intuit, right? And here you'll see basically that if I don't kill all of the lesser demons by a certain amount of time, the monster trophy disappears, and that also indicates that you can no longer collect it. When you're flying through the world, they fly by, and that's kind of the way it works, right? So there's basically 2 kinds of players, maybe 3. I know there's lots, obviously there's lots of people. So, but there's a couple mindsets that I'm thinking about. So one is there's a type of player, and I've done this myself over the course of years, where you're really into a game, and essentially you make it your mission to get the highest rank possible, the S+ tier. You find everything there's to find. You find all the secrets. You achieve the highest score that you possibly can, and then you work for it, right? That's also a nice like hallmark of the shmup. So I love those types of players. That's not everyone, honestly, not a problem, and it's not a big deal if you're not a player like that. So now there's the other group of player, which, if the game is compelling enough, or they get the itch, or they just they want to sit down, they want to spend an hour doing a playthrough. I know it's a little bit long on Shmup side of things, but that type of player, they will get to the end of the level, and maybe they'll see that they didn't get the monster ranks, and then they might decide maybe on their next playthrough, or maybe their next level playthrough, like maybe they'll try a little harder to see what they missed, right? And that, I think that's valid. So I guess the question is having a hint system in there to indicate that you're missing something, it doesn't do damage to you, it doesn't fire, and it is dynamic in the way things will spawn. Is that better in general for players because now they have a hint? Because I think my opinion is that when you're the type of player that you'll maybe give a try or two, but you're going to go look up the strategy guide on where all the monsters are, whatever it is, right? If it's too difficult or complex to suss out all of the monster trophies, that player, they don't get any help and they're not going to go and look it up. So they also lose incentive to look maybe on their subsequent playthroughs or in the moment to see that there was a monster trophy. And as they're playing through the game, they can see that they're not finding that. And that kind of creates a very immediate puzzle to kind of maybe even restart the level and try again. So I guess the question is is it better to have the monster trophy hint system in? It's all in debug, so we can turn it on or off. Or is it better to leave it off so then you don't have the extra distraction as a player? There's already lots of stuff going on. And honestly, I'm going to play test it, and I'd love to hear from the community and the opinions. So I appreciate you. All right. Speak to you soon. Thanks, everybody.